This podcast has the Kiseki curse.
It does. It really does. But thankfully, we answer the call of this Kiseki curse by blowing it off instead of stabbing ourselves with the samurai sword.
Yeah, probably better.
Yeah,
We're under less pressure. Probably.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, as cool as it would be to maybe find a real samurai sword, that's a lot of work. So it is probably better.
Welcome to Book Club no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I have forgotten everything that happened this week.
And I'm
David Bernard Houck.
And this week we will be covering the ending of The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky second chapter. All of us played it over a week ago. I was supposed to have beaten it by Monday night when we were supposed to record, and I had not done that, so we postponed. But I then beat it that night, so we're all working off of old memories, all because of me.
Do you have the Let's Play pulled up?
I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I always can fall back on the Let's Play. I bet there are not that many side quests. I know that every single person on our sale gets new dialogue every time you do anything.
Well, this is a Trails game.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit of scrolling through, but not like pages and pages of scrolling through like it normally is. So we'll be good. But before we get to all of that, what's new, Scooby-Doo?
It's Christmas.
It is Christmas.
I might have been infected with COVID.
Dislike that. Where's our dislike button, Facebook? I want to dislike this.
Other than that, okay, Christmas. I ate some food. I drove 4 hours.
That's a lot of
hours. I got a blanket.
Blankets are great because blankets are like on the level of getting socks for Christmas, except blankets are 90 times better than socks. And so even if you're like, ugh, they don't even love me. They don't know what to get me. So they got me a blanket. That night, you're going to be like, man, I'm kind of cold. Let me just grab this blanket real quick. And it's great.
I've actually been wanting a new blanket for my bed. And this one is a nice color. So it works.
Hell yeah.
I was going to say, even like a bad blanket, like you can fold it up, put it in your closet, and use it for moving, or if you have people over. Like, it's a good utility item.
Or the like January 20th second winter when it hits here in Wisconsin and it's negative 20 degrees outside and you need an extra blanket. You can have multiple blankets.
What else did I get? I got an Amazon gift card, so
nice.
I can shop on Amazon. And someone else already gave them the money, so whatever.
Yeah.
I got a tin of microchip cookies, which I was like, oh, what the fuck is that? And I opened it up, and it's cookies that are basically, they're chocolate chip cookies, but they're so tiny, it's basically just like a chocolate chip with a little bit of cookie crust around it.
That's weird.
I'm like, I'll eat it. And I got a candle. Smells like holiday cookies, it says.
Nice.
I think that's it.
What about you, Matt?
Well, I worked on Christmas Eve, so I missed my family's Christmas, which might have been for the better. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people in a small space.
Yeah.
So far, I think I got a bottle of Mountain Dew so far for Christmas.
Nice.
Nice.
I'd like a bottle of Mountain Dew.
You have also received a 22-inch cathode ray tube television,
That's
complete
true.
with a retro gaming PC attached to it. I mean, technically, you haven't received it because it's right here, but
That one is in transit.
in transit, it's one of those things where it's like your item has shipped, but we can't really give you the tracking number because it's not actually shipped. It's still right here. That's what that is.
When it fucking says it's shipped and you click on it and it says shipping label has been printed, FedEx is waiting package, and you're like, that's not fucking shipped.
No, that's printed. Unless anything else interesting happened in Retail Hill.
Actually, two things.
Okay.
I got to restore my faith in myself and restore my faith in humanity from an external source. Okay, yeah, I can. As long as I don't use like specific details, I can probably tell both stories. Okay. We had a person come in. They are a foster care worker.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we have $75. What can we buy in the store with that? For a particular group of folk. And I said, well, not a ton. Here's some games. What kind of systems do you have? And they're like, well, an Xbox, but it doesn't really work. And we had an Xbox Series X in stock. For those of you following along at home, that is not our cheapest system.
It is not.
So $75 is not quite there.
No.
So I said, well, we've got this. You've got your no tax paperwork, but this is how much you need. Anyway, long story short, I helped pay for an Xbox.
Nice.
Which I'm technically not supposed to do. But I looked at my boss and said, if you stop me from doing this, I'll quit.
And with how quickly you got all of your promotions, I'm betting they would just accept that.
She was also like, yeah, no, this is a good thing. Here's $50. And then so that was cool. I felt good about that because I didn't have to think about it. And it's one of those things in retrospect, you're like, I did a good thing. I feel good about myself because of that. And then I worked Christmas Eve. And it's like, oh, so everyone else is awful. That's good.
Yeah.
Except we had some folks come in who were like, I can't believe you guys are working Christmas Eve. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that from everybody who came in.
It happens when people come in.
It happens when you come in. And they were like, no, but like, we've been working nonstop the past month. So it like means a lot. So they wrote like a little note without us knowing, and they left us each like $100 tip.
Oh shit.
Which, big deal. So like that's really cool. This sucks, but at least they get that it sucks.
Yeah.
That's that.
Nice. I've had a weird Christmas. It hasn't felt like Christmas at all. This whole we put up our tree like before Thanksgiving, because last year we desperately needed Christmas, and then Christmas was a magical time and everything was great. But this year it's just like after 2021, I have to do Christmas now. It hasn't felt like Christmas, and it's been weird. And so I've been feeling super down about it. But
Is it because it's Halloween outside?
It's a little because it's Halloween outside. It's kind of like, why the fuck did I move 24 fucking hours away from where I lived if I'm not going to get fucking snow? Like, it's bullshit that I moved up to this wasteland and there's not even a winter wonderland for 6 months of the year this year. It's annoying, but yeah, it just felt off. But yesterday at about 4 p.m. my ADD wait mode engaged. The thing that normally happens like an hour before the thing. And you're like, oh, I have an interview at 1, so at noon I'm going to sit here and feel weird for an hour because I can't do anything because I'm waiting for the thing to start. That happened with 16 hours to go. So I had a very weird Christmas Eve, just like trying to exist, waiting for Christmas to happen. And so I read one of the Janny Wirtz books that my wife got me. Janny Wirtz being, I don't know, I know I've said it a lot in the Discord, but I don't know if I ever said it on the podcast, that I've been looking for this book that my brother's best friend was reading way back when I was in high school. And he's like, this is amazing. You have to borrow it after me. But he let my older brother borrow it. My older brother didn't like it. So he gave it back to his best friend and not to me. And I never was able to read it. And I've been looking for it forever. I only vaguely remembered what the cover looks like. But then I found it like a month ago. And it was super exciting that I could finally go and read it. And so my wife got me I think 4 total of the books of that series for Christmas. So I started reading one of those to last me until the morning, and they are really good. My brother's friend was telling the truth; they're phenomenal. But then this morning I woke up. Stormy woke up at like 6:30, and I wasn't gonna just like not let him wake up and have Christmas. So I woke everybody up and we had Christmas super early. And I gave Summer her commissioned family photo, but we're all brats art piece that I got done. And it's amazing. And she loved it and cried and all that good stuff. And I gave a bunch of stuff to the kids, and the kids. So we got Stormy just as many things as Scarlet, but Stormy opens his first present, and it's an Imaginext Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous dinosaur, the one they call Toro. I don't know what its actual dinosaur name is. And it came with his favorite character, Darius. He saw that in the box, didn't even want me to open it. He just stopped caring about all presents and everything and just was looking at that box for like 15 minutes. It was great. But and then Summer gave me a bunch of really cool stuff. That's all stuff I've actually wanted. And I started crying because I realized that basically every Christmas that she and I have been together, I have had to, like, because money has sucked. I've been like, okay, well, it's at Christmas. I want the kids to have Christmas. I will just take a stocking, and like, you don't have to get me anything. I have expensive tastes. I'll just get stuff at my birthday or something. So Christmas has kind of sucked for me. But then because of my raise, what didn't happen this year. So on Christmas morning, I opened a bunch of things that I really liked, like a bunch of 3 new controllers, a Master Chief Barbie doll, a Gundam, a bunch of cool shit, and it was super awesome. And so Christmas has been pretty good. But the most important thing is we made this like puff pastry candy cane with like cheesecake filling and raspberry pie filling, and holy fucking shit, it's the best goddamn thing I've ever had in my life, and it's super fucking easy to make. And I highly recommend everyone make it. The recipe, write this down, is you can make it with Pillsbury crescents. They were out of crescents, so we got puff pastry. The crescents cook way faster than puff pastry does, but they're both probably good. But you either cut your puff pastry into triangles, or they're already in triangles if you have the crescents, and you line them up with fat side of the triangle, all on the side with the pointy side pointing to the other side. Spread on your cheesecake filling, spread on your raspberry pie filling, fold them over to close it, and then bend it in the shape of a candy cane. Since it's not Christmas, you don't have to bend it in the shape of a candy cane. You can make it a circle or whatever the fuck you want. Then you bake it for however long it says on the package, and it's real fucking good. We made 2 whole candy canes, and so after eating someone was like, wow, I'm so glad like we have a whole candy cane left. And like, Summer, we don't. We have 3 triangles of this shit left. We have demolished this entire thing, and it was fucking delicious and made the whole day. But that's what's new with my Scooby-Doo. So yeah, let's instead of talking about Christmas, let's talk about The Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky, 2nd chapter, the end, entitled. What's it fucking titled? Trails in the Sky? Yeah.
It's the real reason for the season.
It truly is. So let's listen to the track called Dancing with the Wind and start talking about the plot. Matt, don't forget this cold open. It's important. It's where the ship crashes.
Yeah, because I tried to read it last week. So we are on the Arcee. Fly into
the Areola, whatever the Areola city is.
Yep. And suddenly the Glorious shows up out of the clouds, and we do a dogfight.
In anime.
In anime. I looked it up. Still called that.
Just one of these, just one time I'd like to do something in anime.
Yeah. It would be great. Just to, like, even if it's just like going to the bathroom, but you get to do it in anime. It would be spectacular.
I think
it depends on the kind
brothers,
of anime.
I'd do something else.
Because, like, if you pick the wrong kind of just go to the bathroom in anime, you might get murdered.
No, not just go to the bathroom in Danganronpa. Go to the bathroom in anime.
All right. Bathrooms aside.
The anime cutscene of dogfighting with the Glorious is glorious. It's really fucking cool.
It's really good. I'm not usually a planes guy, but these are airships that kind of planesy. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Airship is airplane plus tank. So you like airships. You don't like airplanes.
Yes. Yes. We got to keep on track, so I'm not going to expound. Anyway, so anime dogfight ensues. But then a new challenger appears. I had no idea what this was. The wiki describes it as a reverse engineered reverie that can fly, controlled by Lo.
Yeah, it's a robot. I don't know where he got the robot, but it's a robot.
Yeah, I buried the lead. It is a robot, not another ship. But it is a brand new robot.
Yeah. It's also, it's weird that, like, obviously the cutscene part of it started playing and I was expecting a text box to save me, type thing, and I looked away and was like handling a kid or something, but I don't remember this next bit of cutscene. So later, when layaway, which is how it's pronounced in Japanese, which is stupid.
No, it's not.
And when layaway shows back up later in this robot, I'm like, is no one going to talk about the fact that he got a robot? And it's because they already did, and I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, he shows up and he slices our fucking wings off.
Yeah, like a jerk. And we go trailing off
In the sky.
in the sky. The end? Question mark. No, and we go attempting for what passes for a landing towards the city. Flash.
And we
Finale.
crash a lot.
Oh yeah. We super crash. Finale. Trails in the sky.
I love when the title of the movie is in the movie. It's so good.
I mean, that happens at the beginning of most movies.
Yeah, but I like it when it happens not at the beginning of the movie, and when somebody says it or you see it on a sign or something like that.
I think I was playing a Chemco game. Okay, bear with me. This is relevant and it's pretty great. I do not remember what the title of the game was. And they do this similar thing where like 3/4 of the way through the game, they use the title of the game. And like they write there, all characters turn to look at the screen. Screen?
That's amazing.
Man, what if Kimco is the next Neon Falcom and we just don't know it because we haven't played the games?
They're not. It's okay. Don't have to worry about that.
Actually, they're pretty good. I've played some of their games. Anyway, we cut back into scene. Everybody's surveying what's left of the ship. There's more of it than I'm letting on, but it's a crashed airship. It took some beatings. They figure we probably have enough time to repair it before the deadline expires. So they go. Everyone without a character sprite goes to do that. Estelle and Joshua say, we're going to go check out the city. While Niall and Dorothy are doing Niall and Dorothy things. That's what I wrote. I don't exactly know what it means.
They're here because they got permission from Cassius, whoever, to take lots of pictures and get a scoop. And because they're everyone's favorite character, you think they won't be in the finale? Come on.
You're not wrong.
But before Estelle and Joshua leave, Joshua's like, I've got to go hang out with Kevin alone for a bit before we do anything. Bye.
Yeah, and I was expecting like that to take a while, but you really walk outside, and then Joshua walks outside to join you, and you're like, what was that? And he's like, it's nothing. You'll find out in a little bit.
I completely, I must have not been, I mean, full disclosure, at this juncture of the game, whatever was wrong with, whatever had been going wrong was getting worse. So there were text boxes that weren't showing up at all. And they would show up with the sprite but without any words. It was very strange.
So that's not
need
great.
To uninstall and reinstall your game.
Yes, that is what I needed to do. Past
Months
Matt was
ago.
committed and stubborn. Anyway, Professor Russell's working on the data crystals. And
basically nobody has any better idea than for us to just waltz around and see if we can find the areola. There's a big ass tower in the distance, and we're like, if I were an evil person and I had a magical item that was super important to my giant floating city, I would put it in the giant tower. So let's make our way over there and check.
Yep, and it's the area is called the Liber Arc.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty big.
Yeah,
I got lost a lot. It took me a minute to figure out the transportation thingies.
Yeah, I realized that that's what they were for after I had made it to the second one, so I didn't turn on the first one. So I had to backtrack through the whole dungeon to go back to the first one and activate the fast travel, and that was not fun, especially when I was trying to rush and finish on Monday night.
So I turned on the first one, but in my head I made the assumption that it was like that I needed to do something else to teleport to a next area. That wasn't like, no, it's got to be right here. It's got to be somewhere nearby, because it's just, it's just going to teleport me to the next area. This is the first one. This is the teleportation puzzle from the original Pokemon. I just need to figure out where it's go, or what the correct input was. Spoilers. It is exploring the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah.
So do that.
Don't do that 3 whole times. Along the way, there's some cool lore stuff where there's a bunch of computers and stuff that you try to interact with, and they're like, oh, you don't have a gospel. But one of them is like, oh, this is a lost your debit card machine. So if you lost your gospel, we can give you a new one. And if you put in Chloe's name, she's in the database, and as her ancient ancestor, that's the word, as her ancestor. And so you do that, and you can get a gospel, and it's just like they printed a fucking ID card. This whole 2 games we've been like, wow, these are like magnificently machined and super high tech. How could anyone get this? And like, oh, we found a machine that just makes them for you.
So yes, you have to have Chloe in your party so that the machine can read her DNA and be like, oh, I recognize you as, I forget the name of the ancestor, but
Celeste, I think.
Yes, and you have to get the name of the ancestor from the data crystals, which Professor Russell is examining. But in the PC version, there's a bug here where the controller input just completely breaks when you are trying to enter the middle initial. And if you're me, you freak out, you try so many times, you reload your game, you keep on trying, and eventually you look it up and it just says, and the people on the internet say, just click on it. And I'm like, oh, I forgot that there was a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah, I had remembered Celeste's name, but not her middle initial, and I was like, what the fuck was it? Let me just look it up, and I don't want to walk all the way back to the professor. So I tried Googling it, and the one that comes up is the Steam page being like, oh my god, what's the matter? And people like, just click on K or whatever letter it is, and it's good. Love that. But yeah, in the third,
is it the third area where we find the?
So that's where the factory is. I don't know. I think it's in the second area where we find the girl, and then the third area where we take her to blow up the thing. None of those words
Josette.
are right, but Josette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
We
we
are
find
so good at this.
We're great.
we find
This is our premium content.
Yeah, it is. Technically, the premium content is that they get this early. I made no promises that this was better than the other content. It's just they get it before everyone else does. They get our shitty content better or earlier. But yeah, so we make it to the second one and we run into Josette Capua,
I love
our
her.
girlfriend.
She's fighting off some monsters, and we jump in to save her. And she explains that all her friends and brothers and all of them got captured by the bad people.
Mm-hmm. And they're being held on the Glorious. And then she joins the party, and not as a guest this time. She joins it for real.
Yes.
it was so good.
I love it. Except she joins your party without an S break.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because her S break is her brothers come in and fuck shit up. So she gets her S break story related. But it felt really weird having this character with all this crisis points or whatever that I couldn't fucking use. And it was annoying. But she's great, and I love her.
Agreed.
So we agree to let her join the party and go help her break her friends out of the Glorious.
And thankfully, this time, all of the doors that turned the Glorious into a dungeon before are open. So now it is not a dungeon. It's a hallway.
Yes.
If you still do the dungeon, there's a lot of really cool loot that
There
you can go
is.
and get. But you don't have to. You can just walk straight there. And it's great.
And Josette just has so much fun dialogue in this sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a fight with and we have a fight here with Gilbert, right?
Yeah.
Or is that later?
I don't know. I didn't take
I'm
notes.
pretty sure it's on the Glorious. It's
I think so.
Yeah, it's on the Glorious. It wasn't an impressive fight.
Yeah, I think he is harder because he brings his lions to the fight. But you just kill the lions, and then Gilbert's still the same. Has not leveled up from before, which is such a good joke. I love a good systems joke that somebody is an idiot and they're not good, and they have shitty stats every time you run into them. It's a great joke. Love that it's there every time.
It's like that boss fight in Final Fantasy VII where the guy gets hit. Good. Never mind. That's a spoiler. Well, it's not really a spoiler. It's a funny joke. But that can come later. Anyway, we beat him up. And we free the rest of the Capuas.
Yay.
And Josette decides to still be in our party
Yeah.
because we like her.
We love her. Yeah, basically the Bobcat is busted and they can't leave. And Josette's like, well, since we can't leave, I'm going to go and help them do their thing because I'm crushing hard on Joshua. And we're like, okay.
And
That's
Estelle's
cool.
like, I am right here, but I get it. So anyways, she comes with us. The rest of them go back to fix the ship. We got a password here. Is that right?
Yeah, so I am lucky that I happen to see that Kyle is the one that gives you the password because I never would have found that. Like it did not seem like right now would be a time to go and do the NPC part of this dungeon because we knew we needed a password to operate the last gate to get it open to go to the bad guys, but I figured you would find that in a computer or something. But no, Kyle just overheard it. So
Just go and talk to all the NPCs. How many NPCs could there be in this Nihon Falcom game?
yeah, no biggie.
Like, I mean, there's only 40 people on the continent.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like 35, because 5 of them are
In your
the
party.
bad guys. Oh, shit. Only 30. Look at that.
But yeah, you eventually talk to Kyle and get the password and go through the final bit of dungeon. None of these dungeons are that good. They're in a circle. There's nothing to write home about, which is kind of sad because the final dungeon of the first game was phenomenal. This one is you kind of go in a straight line through all of these and then kind of go in a circle up the tower, and that's basically it.
I think, and this isn't. Well, it's maybe me defending it a little bit. I think if you're playing this game not like we played it, but like at your, more at your leisure, and with not as much knowledge going into it, the suspense of a not as good dungeon can kind of work here.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, but when's it going to get hard? Like the last dungeon was like there was stuff. When?
Oh no!
I enjoyed this dungeon all right.
So I'm following along with the LP. If you go back and talk to all the NPCs when you're supposed to, Julia and Mueller join the party.
Yeah. Did you not know that?
I did not know that. I did not go back and do that.
Also did not know that.
If only there were 2 whole games that had been training you to talk to NPCs repeatedly.
Yeah, if only I wasn't trying to blast through this final thing to record on Monday.
If only the wheels weren't falling off my video game car.
Oh, that's really cool. It kept feeling like Julia at least would join the party this game, and I was like sad that she never did. And I was like, oh, maybe she joins Kevin's party because she feels like she's going to be a party member. But no, she was. I just was dumb and didn't go do it. Sucks to be me.
Same.
So we get to the tower.
We get to the tower.
And it is an Elite Four situation.
Yes, and what you're supposed to do, and what I specifically told Sam to do, is you're going to fight each of the enforcers one by one instead of them all fighting you at the same time, like would make sense. And so you want to go back to the RSA and get the appropriate party member. And you get a lot of cool dialogue. Sam got other dialogue because he didn't do that. Maybe it's also cool.
Is the appropriate party member Agate? Because I always had Agate.
No, so the first one is Beaublanc, so you want to have his rival, Olivier, and his object of his affection, Chloe, in his...
There's not really any interesting dialogue for that particular group, though.
It's slightly flavorful, and he makes the remark, if you don't have them, I wish they were here, but basically doesn't change. However, as you recall, the plot of this game was everyone in our party coming up against their childhood rival and besting them. And so you show up and Walter is there and he's like, why the fuck didn't you bring us in? And we're like, because can we fight you instead? He's like, fine, I fucking guessed. And then you fight him and he's just like, you know what? If y'all beat me, like I can't even face Zen anymore. Tell him that like our whole rivalry is off. I'm out of here. I can't even right now. And that's it. That's the whole cutscene. It's great. There's no monologuing or resolution or anything to anyone's story. We just beat up Walter, and I think it's funny. What's supposed to happen, Bernard?
I don't remember. It's been a while. They fucking fight or whatever. It's really good. So I don't know.
What the wiki says is Walter mocks Zin. I'm going to abbreviate this because they're a little long-winded. we basically find out that the two of them had the most anime disagreement of who should inherit their school. Zin was picked, and Walter didn't want to fight him for it because he was convinced Zin would win. Zin's like, the master agreed to fight me because he was already dying, and he wanted to go out the way he lived, with the obviously misguided intention of teaching Walter and Zin an important lesson about not misusing what they have so far as punch-in powers. And he also didn't want Walter and Zin to fight. It's at this juncture that Walter realizes that, wow, I missed that day in class. And then they punch each other once, and Walter goes down like a loser. End of scene.
Cool.
And then I think, does Walter jump off the building, or is that just on the tower?
That's just on the tower. Like, this says he faints, and that lines
yeah.
with, like, the pictures I think I saw.
That's right.
He jumps off the tower for me when we're like, oh, hey, I guess we're done here. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he jumps off and leaves. It's great. I highly recommend bringing the completely wrong party for this last thing because it's funny.
Anyway, then we move on to Luciola, and if you're me, you bring Shara.
Yes.
I think I had Cher with me at this point because I found some sort of combination that made her like a glass hammer, or she was just
Glass
like
cannon. A glass hammer would be really bad.
Yes. So that's okay. So that's a Warhammer thing.
Okay.
A glass cannon is something you can use twice.
Okay.
A glass hammer is like, I spent a lot of, because I had the resources laying around, it was a lot of like throwing Shara in to do a ton of damage and then dying. And that was the plan.
So if I don't really recall what happens between Luciola and Shara. Remember, it's real good.
I can do the same thing I did with the last one because I got it open right here. I also remember like the highlights of it.
Yeah. I remember the cool way it ends, more or less.
Yeah. It kind of confirms what we suspected based on, previous interactions with Luciola. Although it confused me because I thought the Troop Master and Luciola were like already an item.
Yeah.
But this directly contradicts that the picture that was painted of that. She was in like a one-sided.
Yeah, she was in love with him, and he was like, you're my daughter. That's basically what I got from just reading it.
Yeah. And, like, she picked a real bad time to tell him, because he was like, I'm planning to sell the circus and retire. And she she-wrote him right off the cliff. And used her powers to make it sound like he screamed later when she was, that's the instigator for the story that we know so far. That she threw him off the cliff and used her powers to
make him scream later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she she delivers a very dramatic line. That was the very moment I realized the darkness inside of me, and eventually Ouroboros and the Grandmaster found me, gave my inner darkness a purpose, and eventually the path he set me on led me here. And now, I suppose, it leads me to the end. And she fucking spreads her arms and just like Jesus falls off the fucking tower to off herself.
But then I was expecting Matt to pick it up.
I was expecting someone to pick it up.
Okay. So it's at this point that Cheryl, like, I cannot describe it any other way other than an Indiana Jones, like, whip to catch the arm. It is not how whips work.
It's not. It would just hurt her.
Yeah,
it would just like it would flay the skin off her arm, and then she would fall bleeding instead of just fall.
Yeah, she Gwen Stacy's her, except is successful.
Yes. Oh, Sam.
She swings her whip down, and I sort of immediately read it as, she swung her whip down, and for some reason, she grabbed the whip, but that doesn't make sense. The whip wrapped around her wrist somehow and is now holding her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Shara says, it's not too late. You can still come back. And Lucio is like, I only agreed to do Weissman's stuff so I could make sure that you were happy.
Yeah, she says, I don't regret killing Harvey, but leaving you was the worst thing I've ever done, and I've never forgave myself for it.
And she cuts the whip
and
finishes.
Her last line is hilarious. Is Shara, she's basically said, I'm about to cut the whip and let myself die, but before I go, remember, liquor is nice, but try to moderate yourself. Goodbye, and cuts the whip and falls.
And then they have this weird little scene about how, I don't know, she's an enforcer. She probably didn't actually die. I'll see her again. And I think it's around this point I realize no one ever fucking dies in these games.
Yeah, no.
Like, someone's about to die. I think two people are about to die in a bit, but other than that, people don't fucking die in this game or the previous game.
They're hardy people. There's only 40 of them on a continent. If people just died like normal, the world would disappear.
So yeah, we then make our way to our final enforcer. That is Ren. Oh, we didn't mention it, but Campanella, the other enforcer that we never fought, we never end up fighting him. We saw him for a second, and he was like, "Oh, interesting. Gilbert lost. Well, go, my pretties, and do things." I'm assuming we will address him in the third, but
God, I hate him. I hope by address you mean shoot him with a crossbow.
Please just crossbow to the fucking eyeball. That's
not even the bolt, just like the whole crossbow. The whole thing.
Pistol whip, but with a crossbow.
This fight was frustrating. So it's Ren. It's Ren. I had a tough time with it. I don't know about you guys.
I did have a tough time with it. I beat the first 3 enforcers without having to cheat and die a lot, but I had to die like 4 times with Ren to be able to beat it.
I had to like actually go back and swap Shara out because like that build was a meme thing that I always wanted to try and do in Trails of Cold Steel. Because I will not specify, but one of the characters lends himself to it if you can see through the matrix and you're like, oh, it's right there.
I need to see the Matrix. It's been out for 3 days and I haven't seen it yet. I'm a bad sci-fi kid.
This fight was a little tough for me because I was doing things right. So I went and brought Tita, and Tita dies easy.
Yeah.
I don't remember what special dialogue there was between Ren and Tita.
I'm still flummoxed by that. Like, I don't know what it is about my Tita that makes her so tanky, but like, she's not as tanky as my Agate.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, it's got to be your orbit loadout, because even here in the Let's Play, Estelle has 10,000, Joshua has 11,000, and Julia has 11,000, and Tita has 6,000. She is made of paper.
Yeah, my Tita has 7,000, but like low 7,000s. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what I did too. I went and got like the Amish made handcrafted team I've been putting together. Good old the real protagonists, good old Agate and Tita. Anyway, Ren says she's not going to listen to a single word until Estelle can beat her. And that's what we try and do. Is this the first time we fight Ren and Pater Mater?
At the same time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Normally she's riding it or is by herself. But now we get to fight her separate.
This... When I came back with the real party, it was fine, but it's still, even then, it was still pretty tough.
Yeah.
So anyway, we beat them up, mostly the robot, because it
Yeah, we like blow up its leg servos or something so that she can't use it anymore. And she's like, stop hurting my robot and fucking fight me one-on-one. And Estelle walks kindly up to her and is like, you've been needing this for a very long time, and just slaps her across the face. And it's great. And
sort of weird, because it's like we have been like hitting her very hard with staves and knives and
you got shot with a Gatling gun.
And I don't know.
Yeah, there's just something like personal about a slap to the face more than a slice with a sword.
It's like the stun chance is ridiculous.
This game series has been teaching me a lot about parenting. I did not realize that you're supposed to slap small children this much. But what do I know? I'm not a parent.
Yeah. Every person who we've met, their parents in this game, has been slapped. So take that with what you will. But so after we slap her, she's like, "Ow, what was that for?" And she's like, and she's like, "Okay, well, then what about this?" And then she hugs them because Estelle is an abusive older sister. You gotta beat him first and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, baby. You know how I get," and then give him a big hug. But it's actually a very sweet scene.
It is. I was going to say, other than the preamble of domestic violence, it's a really nice scene.
Yeah, it's basically Estelle being like, "You're still a kid. You can still choose to be good and not be evil, and I'm here for you, and I love you, and it's obvious that you love me too as a sister. So think about that." And Ren is like, my head's funny. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. And apparently her robot has the jetpack, so its broken legs are fine, and she flies away into the sunset.
We're gonna completely skirt over the fact that like this entire relationship is based on like what, a day and a half?
No, it's a lot longer than that. It's been like months.
But they've only spent like a day and a half together.
True.
Yeah. But, like, the power of anime. It works anyway. It really works anyway.
So I'm looking through this cutscene, and Tita doesn't say anything. Why does it say to bring Tita here? Oh, here's the one line where Estelle says, maybe we could have avoided this fight, but I couldn't. And Tita says, no, Estelle, you're right, totally right. I don't want to leave her in the way she is any more than you do. That's what she adds to the conversation.
I'm so glad I brought her.
I genuinely thought that I had brought the wrong person because there was so little interaction there.
Yeah, Ren and Tita have a similar relationship to Estelle, but they don't really have a relationship together. So when Bernard told me that Tita was the correct choice here, I was like,
I mean, Tita and Ren hung out a lot during that chapter.
That's true, but dramatically, it's all been Estelle and Joshua with Ren.
Yes. So after beating Ren, I went back and put Julia and Kevin in my party because I wanted to bring Julia or Mueller along for some of this, and Julia's cooler. So I brought her, and I just had a feeling that Kevin would be important. And it turns out, yes, there's like a lot of interesting dialogue happens with him. I'll try to remember it.
Yeah, he does. I didn't have him, and he does like show up for a scene there at the end. So maybe there's crossover there, but
yes, I mean, there is that scene at the end, but also like, I'll tell you when we get there.
Cool.
After the difficulty of the last boss fight, I just rolled with the team I had. And the last boss fight's low. Or Layway. Kmart. Kmart's waiting at the top of Axis Pillar. And he does the very typical league champion thing of being surprised that we made it as fast and as far as we have.
This battle is winnable, and I was almost winning, but I was like, you know what? Like, it'll be a war of attrition if I win. Like, I'm having to like full party heal basically every turn and get a pot shot every now and then, so it'll take forever, but I could do it. So let me just die real quick, and I'll do it on an easier one. And I died, and the cutscene continued.
I just beat him on my first try because I'm a pro gamer.
Look at you.
Yeah. Agate walked up to him and said, "Sup." The conversation didn't last very long. Okay. That's all him talking about what a pro gamer is ahead of the fight.
And then after we die, he continues to gloat about being a pro gamer.
Yeah. Either way, because I remember this. Yeah. So either way, win or lose, Joshua says 1v1 me IRL.
Yeah, I imagine that beating him is an okay scene, but I really like losing to him because we're all basically dead, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to kill you now," and Josh was like, "No, like hold your ass. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna fight you. I got anime special powers. I'm Hulk Hogan in this bitch. You thought I was dead, but I'm up and I'm going to fight you." And I thought that was a really awesome scene coming from losing to Joshua holding his own. I thought that was really good.
I think this is an instance where I would have preferred it been an auto lose situation, or a bespoke losing fight, because I
Falcom doesn't do those though.
I know, and it's rare that that's a thing that I miss, because generally I consider them an annoying resource sink.
Mm-hmm.
But having it described that way, I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. But yeah, Josh says 1v1 me IRL, and so from Agate's fight with the Jaegers at the end of last game, every single time we've gotten an in-engine sprite sword fight, I've been like, this one now is the best one. Except for maybe Julia versus Cassius training at the very beginning of this game. But every other one has upped it. And here we are again, upping it. And this one is fan-fucking-tastic. Just the best sprite work I've ever fucking seen. So good.
Yeah. And it's really good. Our raven-haired sad boy, that's exactly what I wrote, does win by...
Yeah, he Expelliarmus his sword away, and Joshua is like, basically did it in last desperation. He's like, I could do nothing else. You win. Fight me. And Lei Wei is like, no, swordsman's honor. You disarmed me. If you were able to stand up, you could strike me down. There's nothing I could do about it. So I admit defeat. And I'm outie 5,000.
There's...
Except he doesn't leave. You made it sound like he leaves. No, he does not leave. There's a lot more scene left.
Yeah, there's a lot of scene left. I just meant he's done with the fight.
He specifically comments that, like, what he learned from Weissman and, like, the being a good person he learned from Cassius makes a really good combination. He says he has his answer and no longer has any reason to be with Ouroboros. And then they hug.
Yeah. And it caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting there to be like an emotional, like, oh, as soon as you're done with Ouroboros, I'm going to say the words, you're back, thank adios, you're back, Lei Wei's back, it's over, it's all over, which is exactly what Joshua says. But cool. They're buddies now, and they're hugging, and it was still emotional. I just was completely caught off guard by that.
And apparently, so according to the wiki, Lo will have specific words for whoever your party composition is, like specific dialogue, which is neat.
Yes, for Kevin, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, but he says something like, oh, hey, you're that Grailsritter or whatever the fuck you're called. Do you know a woman named Rufina, I think what's the name?
It is.
And Kevin says, yes. And talks about how she died or something. And Lowe's just like, okay, just wondering. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. For Agate, he says, your blade strikes with conviction and force now rather than empty rage. I see you've managed to find your reason for fighting. And yet Agate's like, yeah, I guess so. And he's like, what, why are you fucking, like, what do you mean? Why are you saying this? And he's like, Kevin, do you know someone named Rufina? And he just doesn't answer Agate, which is great.
Yeah, I'm guessing this will come up in the third.
Mhm.
Estella asks him what. I can't tell if that's. I think. Yeah. This is where it cuts back in. Estella's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, not him specifically, existentially, but like, what is Ouroboros doing here? With all these machines at the top of this tower. She's like, is this the areola? And I was like, nah, this is just the antenna.
Yeah, so you need to take this conveniently placed elevator and ride it down to the planet core and blow up the areola there. So we do that.
Yeah.
Well,
We
some
try.
kind of important stuff happens first.
Well, yeah. Some very important things happen, like the final bosses. But we do hop in the elevator.
No, a lot of important stuff happens before we hop in the elevator, my dude.
Yeah.
The thing in the Let's Play, it looked like the bottom of the elevator where this thing was happening, but it happens at the top.
Yep.
I had added the elevator ride to the wrong part of the cutscene.
Yeah. Weissman shows up and straight up Sith Lightning's low.
Mm-hmm.
Saying like, you guys cheated, you didn't kill him. Estella's mad. And he's like, but you still haven't figured out why I wanted to do this in the first place. He blames Joshua for throwing off all of his plans. And then he
says, it's time you became my puppet once more, and retakes over Joshua's brain.
Yeah. He exposits that when he put Joshua back together, he implanted this thing called stigma, which lets him take control of him. It made it sound like it was suggestion, which implies it was hypnosis.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. Is he's the nominee of this universe. He's all about memories and personality and those sorts of things. But he's not as nice and cool as Nominee is.
Is Nominee the reason I can't remember fucking anything that happens in Kingdom Hearts?
Yes. She started erasing Sora's memory, but instead reached through your PlayStation and erased your memory.
Oh, I see. I thought it was just because I didn't fucking care.
No. There's a canon reason.
Okay.
We get a bunch of information like about the tattoo. The tattoo itself is stigma.
Mm-hmm.
But the important part is Weissman says, if you want your boyfriend back, you're gonna have to follow me into the heart of the city. Mwahaha. And he teleports away. Lo, who's apparently not dead. I was convinced he was dead at this juncture, but as Bernard said, no one ever dies.
No.
But he sends us down. He's like, don't worry about it. You'll pick him back up along the way. He's like a bad penny. You can't lose him. I mean, now we hop in the elevator.
Yeah, and much like every...
Well, before we hop in the elevator, everyone shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear eventually we'll run out of things that happen, and we will get to this elevator. I know y'all are so eager to get to it.
Yes.
It's a really good elevator.
A bunch of the mechs that Lo was. I will not call him by his name. Lo was flying earlier. Show up, and Lo's like, "I'll fight him off," and we're like, "You're one guy who is dead." And then the entire party, all the party members, which are a lot at this point, and Professor Russell for some reason show up, and Professor Russell's like, "I'm here just to see what's going on," and it's like, okay, you're probably gonna get caught in the crossfire and die, but.
Yeah, you should have done that from safety, but whatever.
They missed an opportunity here for him to have like
To draw his forbidden blade.
to draw his forbidden blade and just put on like a crazy tanky look like steampunk mech thing. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been building this in my spare time for 30 years."
See, like that would be great if he just had like Iron Man armor out of nowhere. Like, yes. That would be very Professor Russell. It would be super cool. But no, he's just like, "How's it going? I'm over here now."
Then we get on the elevator. Does anything else happen?
No.
Well, there was that clown.
No, stop it. So
I thought you were serious and meant that Campanella showed up, and I was like, I don't remember that.
No. So we do get on the elevator, and much like every climactic elevator in a video game that has come from Japan, people can board the elevator while it's going down, and robots show up, and you have to fight them.
Elevator fights just a thing in Japan?
I don't know.
I mean, I know the business culture in Japan can be pretty cutthroat. Maybe that's what happens when you're on elevators.
Yeah, the only elevator fight in a video game made in Japan that has ever made sense is in the first Metal Gear Solid, because the dudes were already in there. They just had cloaking devices on, and then you fight them. It is not this big ass freight elevator, and then somehow monsters arrive onto the elevator with you, and you have to fight them on your way down. Mm-hmm. It's silly. Weirdest trope that we've all just kind of agreed is okay and happens at about this point in most JRPGs.
So we fight the monsters, or the robots.
Yeah, and we make it down to the bottom, and we decide we're going to head in and save the day.
Well, first we heal up all our people manually, then we walk a few feet and notice that there's an orbment charging station.
Yeah, I was playing while we were waiting for Matt to show up for the last recording, and so I was playing it. I'm like, God damn it, I hate when you waste all of your stuff on a full heal and there's a full restore point in the next room. And Bernard was like, "I know exactly where you are," and it happened to me too.
So from that point.
But it's hard and scary, and you only have 3 people in your party. Of course you're going to take the time to heal up.
Oh, I never heal outside of battle. It's a weird me thing, and it gets me killed all the time, but I never do it. Anyway,
thankfully, this isn't a dungeon. I thought we were about to have to do a 3 party member dungeon, and instead it's a hallway, like an actual hallway.
It does a good job of making you think it'll be a dungeon, though. Because I was convinced of the same thing. I was like, there's another dungeon with 3 people? Anyway. So we get to the very bottom of the elevator, and there's Weissman with the areola. And he does annoying villain shit.
I think we should note some of the world building that we've been getting on our way here. So from the computers and stuff that we've been reading, we have gotten the impression that, one, the areola is just granting everybody's wishes and making everyone perfectly happy and everything's perfect and wonderful. 2, that's bad, actually. 3, the areola is alive and has its own will. and is scary and bad. And 4, Chloe's ancestor was the one who like locked it away because it was bad and scary, actually.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that comes up a lot where it's like, oh, if we grant everyone's wishes, then things will be bad. Most people just want to be happy and not be stuck under the thumb of capitalism. And most people will be like, oh, hey, Ariola, can I have a nice house and not have to work anymore? And I'll be like, yeah.
There is a lot of media about how if we grant everyone's wishes and everything, it's bad, actually. But I'm like, maybe. I don't know. We haven't fucking tried it.
Let's try it instead and just see what happens. And like, maybe we can't grant everyone's wishes, but maybe we should grant most people's wishes. And if their wish is like, I want to kill 25 people, be like, how about an Xbox?
You can kill lots of people on there.
Let's get you Xbox with a lifetime Game Pass, and you can just kill some aliens in Halo as much as you need to, and call it a day.
Yeah, that was the thought I had. Was like, it depends like how it answers the wishes, right? Like, because like if you have to go a place and actually wish for a thing, then we could probably grant everybody's wishes.
Yeah. Like,
but like
in Wonder Woman 2, it just happens even when people aren't aware that it's going to happen. And so a lot of people was like, oh, I wish you were dead, to like people in traffic. And like, yeah, that I could see be bad. But most people don't actually hold on to I wish you were dead for longer than a second or two.
Exactly.
And
but like if you have to walk, like even if it's like just walking like a post office different distance.
Yeah.
Like you have to walk to the end of your driveway to ask. Like by the time you get there, you don't even remember, like it's the fridge situation. Like what was I even mad about?
Yeah. But the counterpoint is if you have to walk to into your driveway to do it, I will have passed through a doorway and I will forget everything I was doing. Because as soon as I get out the door, I'm like, why the fuck did I come outside? Was I going to mow the yard? I think that's it. Maybe I'll just mow the yard, go back in, and call it a day. And I would never get my wish granted.
Okay, so we invent a system of note taking for Sam.
Yeah, I would have to get Summer to go out there first, so her wish could be that Sam could remember things if he walks through doorways. Then I would be okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so Weissman monologues a little and is says like, Joshua, hey, answer me, and Joshua won't. And Weissman is like, oh, the stigma is controlling him. He probably could have figured it out and stopped me, but he obviously didn't, because I'm here and I'm in control of him and I'm doing everything, and this totally isn't my hubris talking. Except it is. And he goes to tell us about the city, and it seems like it's not super important right now. It just is lore. But the fact that he mentions that back in the ancient times, they split the continent into 7, and each of them have a big magic MacGuffin. That's probably the plot of all of the future games, so it's probably important. But
because there are 7 continents,
7 countries on the continent.
There's 7 countries on the continent.
So and each like trilogy or duology takes place in one of those countries. So I'm guessing that's where we're headed. Who knows? We're not done with all of them yet, and I haven't played the other ones.
We sure aren't.
But so basically, he says that Eidos granted humanity the 7 treasures. Each one utilizes a facet of reality in order to manifest miracles. humanity split into 7 factions to pursue an idea based on their given treasure. One of them was this Liber Arc, a city in the sky with the areola at its center. It was a paradise where every man's gospel could grant any wish, and mankind had a bountiful life here, free of strife. Over time, however, people's lives were swallowed up in the artificial bliss granted to them by the areola, and not just physical ecstasy, but dreams were provided by the areola, false realities granted people their spiritual fulfillment, and so they were addicted to these miracles that were basically just fake and drugs, and they lost all sense of ambition and ethics, slid into madness, and people stopped having babies and started committing suicide, which is a lot. And that's why it was sealed up. And blah, 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 blah. Anything else important for maybe later? I don't think so. That's all I remembered.
No, I think you covered the important bits.
Yeah. He then says villainy things about mankind is a beast and they need to be enlightened and have flawless logical rationality with no emotion, because it's their emotions that got in the way last time. And we're like, that's stupid.
The important connecting point here is Weissman's like, I see this happening again though with the Orbital Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Estelle counters back with, but we just played 2 games, bro, where people worked together and could accomplish things that they said they couldn't. Maybe we should try that.
Yeah.
And he's like, enough of your logic.
Yeah, I must stress how we get out of his monologue, though, because it is the best thing that I've ever seen happen in a video game. So he's going on about perfect logic, this and everything that, and Estelle's like, no, that's fucking stupid. You're dumb. And he's like, no. Like, let me start monologuing again and tell you. But she's like, no, I fucking heard you, but shut up. I don't care. We're going to have the power of friendship and beat you up. And it's fantastic. I fucking love Estelle.
I almost wonder if they intentionally made it long-winded so the player would start to zone out a little bit. So when Estelle,
I don't think Nihon Falcom has to try to make the dialogue in these games long-winded. I think that just happens.
Okay, but it's a little long-winded even for Falcom. I like, in my head, I like to believe that the writers we're going to intentionally give them everything. So they start to zone out. So when Estelle says, I'm not listening, you're dumb, you're like, yeah! Even more so than when you were gonna. Then he shifts into this is when Estelle tries to talk to Joshua, right?
And Weissman is like, Joshua, erotically mount Estelle.
Yeah, and so it takes you into the battle scene to have Joshua perform his kick-ass S-break on Estelle and deals her health -1, which is always a great thing. I love when I love ludonarrative resonance, and this game is really good at it. And Joshua is doing a false swipe from Pokemon on Estelle right now on purpose. Spoilers for the next sentence we're going to talk about. And they do so by showing you max HP -1 to finish the battle. And it's so good. I love that shit.
Yeah. So, as Bernard said,
He erotically mounts Estelle.
Estelle's on the ground. He straddles her. It's very.
Yeah. If you do not notice the knife blade at the top of that picture, very near the top, easy to miss. I missed it the first time it was shared in host chat because I did not actually get to see it. I was like, "Whoa, yeah. Are we having adult hour?" But the art belies the art aside. It is a pretty affecting scene because we words wise, because Estelle's through the dialogue you get the idea that she's not blaming Joshua. She's like, hey, there's a particular line where she apologizes for not being able to keep her promise to return home with Joshua. But that she still believes in him. And obviously this is the hero story. That's not going to be how it ends. But they really they do very well but maybe this time it doesn't have the happy ending until he pivots and attacks Weissman instead.
Yeah, he Kylo Ren's the fuck out of Weissman right here, and it's really fucking cool.
Except Weissman doesn't die.
No, but he's like Joshua has the knife to her heart and is like, nah, sorry, Estelle, if you died, I wouldn't be able to face reality. And he turns around and goes towards Weissman, and Weissman deflects him, unfortunately. But it was really cool.
And Weissman is like, how? I hypnotized you. And he's like, haha, Cassius anticipated your hypnotizing and had me have Kevin counter-hypnotize me.
Contrary to statistics, there are 2 hypnotists among the 40 people on this continent.
Yeah. Suddenly we've entered some sort of weird, a 1980s movie about hackers, except it's hypnotism instead of hacking.
It really is. But Cassius must be great on the playground, where it's like, oh, well, you see, I hypnotized you, so you can't do it. Well, I already earlier counter-hypnotized you, so what? He's a cheater.
That's what Joshua was doing with Kevin in secret, was getting some special hypnotism in.
And the letter earlier was Cassius explaining that to Joshua.
Mm-hmm. Luckily we had a hypnotist aboard.
Oh, yeah.
Weissman's like, fine, keep your weird sad boy. I could do this by myself. And then we fight Weissman.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing.
Yeah. And we will fight Weissman and his 4 little Duma Flotchies. And his Duma Flotchies hit hard, but I had fully charged S breaks for everybody, and all of them were all attacks. So I beat the shit out of his thingies on accident. And that felt cool.
I don't remember how this fight went for me. I beat it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Normally I write down how a fight was, but I got nothing for this one.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly hard. I knew it wasn't the final boss because it wasn't terribly hard.
Probably because the next phase
is
wildly overshadows it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he after you beat him, he does the very sane thing of being like, you guys are all the insane ones. I'm the only sane one here. Let me fuse my soul with this ancient technology and go through a body horror transformation and turn into a giant monstrosity, because that's what the only sane person in the room does. Obviously, I'm the sane one. You guys are insane. And he becomes this big old gross ass flesh monster robot.
Yeah, I got maybe it's just me, but I got SMT vibes from the monster. Like, it's gross, but it's also a kind of cool design, I thought. Like, cool in its grossness.
Yeah, it's like a mega level virus type Digimon. It's gross, but like cool. And
he's got a super shield generator too, and then like we can't touch him. We're like, oh no, everything's bad. We can't kill him until our redeemed sad boy Lo arrives on his robot. And Weissman's like, what do you think you're doing? I sent you to your room. But it immediately gets like serious because Lo responds with, what was your part in the Hamill tragedy? And Weissman doesn't hide it. He says the whole thing was part of a plan by the nobles, who were facing political pressures and needed a war they could win. And Weissman does the, like, all I did was introduce them to some Jaegers, who weren't doing anything, and gave them a couple of names. That's all I did.
Yeah, I just casually started a war that killed a whole lot of people. So, no big deal. And he says that he just was doing it to prove that humanity sucks and they're all sinners and shit.
But Lowe's like,
he's like, oh, well then fuck you. And he pulls out his kick-ass Blade Master sword, and it apparently has a special gospel in it or something that nullifies his fuck you barrier. So now we get to fight him for real. So we do that.
yeah,
And it's hard.
it is hard. Bernard, do you have a reaction to the fight?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I fought it. I won.
Bernard,
it's interesting
pro gamer.
how... What?
It said Bernard pro gamer. We're
Yeah,
both like, it's hard. Bernard's like, I get it.
It's interesting how this final boss of the main part of Trails in the Sky fucks with the floor, because that's also what the final boss of East 1 does. And I messed up and lost Kevin during this fight, but I won anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure what causes them to get blinked, but I ended up winning with a mostly dead Joshua, and everyone else had been blinked, and Joshua got in the last hit when I finally beat it.
Like, he has his tentacle thing. It like will aim at a tile and make that tile go away, and your person will fall through.
Okay.
And I let that happen to Kevin. And wild thing, Kevin doesn't appear in any of the cutscenes afterwards, and Trails in the Sky the Third uninstalled itself from my computer.
He's gone.
He's gone forever. We loved you, Kevin. R.I.P.
We loved who? I'm sorry. I don't remember anyone by that name. I think they were erased from all of existence.
So
yeah, he's hard. He was even harder than the final boss for me. This one was where it was real fucking hard. Well, I guess the technical part that we're talking about is after the form change, but I had more trouble before the form change than after, but it was still all really hard.
It has been, oh boy, almost a month and a half. I don't remember what about it was hard. I remember at least 2 characters got blinked, but I still had Tita, so I was like able to keep healing. Anyway, we defeat the Eldritch Angel monster.
Weissman turns back into his human form.
Yeah, so he can run away more better. Which he does. He teleports away.
And Estelle's like, dang it.
Missed him again. Maybe next episode.
But importantly, we destroyed the areola. So him getting away really is kind of an dang it, but no big deal because we got the thing we were trying to get. So we can now go check on Lo.
It's amazing how much work it took to destroy this areola when really you can just like wear a rough shirt and move around a lot.
Yeah.
And usually that does the trick.
Yeah, just wear like a cheap polo from Walmart or something. Rub those bad boys right off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you didn't like move the 2 feet to the left to get an undershirt.
Yeah.
You're done.
My mom makes me tape my nips.
Anyways,
let's not unpack that.
Get excited because someone's about to actually die in this fucking game.
Hell yeah!
Hooray, death! It is low. Unfortunately,
I swear to God, if he shows up in Trails of Cold Steel and is like, "Hi, I didn't actually die,"
it was me. I lived.
You know what's going to happen now.
I know. At least the next person we see die, we literally see him turn into a pillar of salt.
Yeah.
So he's probably not coming back.
Yeah.
We get a relatively nice, but departure scene because people, he's, I still need you. No, you're fine on your own. Estelle, look after my sad boy. I'm glossing over this, but that's because there's a very important part at the end that I thought was much, much better than much of the rest of it. Yeah. Where he says, he finally understands why Karen smiled as she died. And then he's gone. Like, that's
good. It's good shit.
That's really good.
But yeah, he dies, and then all of our party shows up to be like, "You beat the game.
Now let's go. You beat the load-bearing boss."
Yeah, everything's about to explode.
Run faster.
So then we get to escape. All in cutscene though. It's not we don't have to race the clock or anything.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Weissman is elsewhere in the facility trying to run away, and he is like, what the fuck? This wasn't in the Grandmaster's prophecy. What's going on? I'll have to have words with my master. And Kevin is like, you can have words with my fucking magic, bitch, and turns him into a pillar of salt.
Yeah, this part is a little weird if you had Kevin in your party, because it's like, wait, when did you get away?
Kevin, he was just here. What happened?
But yeah, Kevin shoots Weissman with a magic stake or something. And Weissman's like, ah, shit, I'm turning into a pillar of salt. This isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have turned around to look at Sodom and Gomorrah. But he did. So now he's a pillar of salt. And
Kevin just says some cool badass motherfucker shit.
Yeah, cool guys don't look at explosions, stuff like that.
But then the clown shows up.
He reveals that he isn't some low rank Grailsritter or whatever they're called. He's actually like number 3 or something. He's actually secretly a super badass, not just a regular badass.
Yeah. I went from
the John Wick of murder priests.
Yeah. This game took me from, oh no, we have to play as Kevin next game, to, oh fuck yeah, we get to play as Kevin next game. And I'm excited for that shit. But then the clown shows up.
The clown shows up.
Yeah. He basically is just like, hey, I'm here just as an observer, and I've been watching you. I wasn't here to stop Weissman from doing anything. I just was seeing what's up. So I'm going to head on out. And he snaps his fingers to crumble Weissman's pillar of salt to let us know that he's not going to unsalt Weissman ever. And then he teleports away and takes Weissman's big ass lance sword thing that he's had. I didn't notice it at the time, but he definitely teleports that sword away, so that might be important. It'll probably come up again.
But then apparently Kevin runs back up so he can flee with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, all right, you guys run ahead. I gotta see a man about a dog. Literally, because they talk about how men are just dogs. Fight. And so then he comes back and he's like, I'm good.
I gotta see a man about a pillar of salt.
So yeah, we run away and Joshua trips, because that's what happens when everyone is running for their lives. So Estelle helps him back up, and they're like, oh, let's continue on running. But because they fell behind, the one of the pathways above a big old hole collapses because everything is collapsing. So Joshua and Estelle have to find another way out. So they do, and they run in the other direction to find a way out. And then it happens again. And every time they go across a platform, it happens where it collapses and they get trapped.
Yep, they get stuck on a pillar out in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, well, fuck, we're going to totally die.
So then Joshua's like, hey, since we're going to die, kiss me and give me a big ol' hug. And she's like, okay, cool. So they kiss and have a big ol' hug, and they fall to their fucking death. The end.
End of game, ? We'll see you next week with... No, go ahead, Bernard.
Oh, well, I was going to say on the RSA, they're like, can we go and catch them? And they're like, for some reason, no.
But that's okay, because Cassius shows up riding on a motherfucking dragon.
Cassius knows a dragon.
Yeah, of course he does.
It's been It's been established, but it's worth reiterating that Cassius knows a dragon.
He's just good old friends with a dragon. So much so that the dragon was disappointed that we saved him and not Cassius. So here he is.
I feel like
tangent.
if you fell on the dragon's back from a great height, you would just like roll off.
Yeah. Maybe the dragon like started flying like at the same speed that they were falling. So then like when they actually caught them, it was like basically at effectively zero speed. So just kind of like when you toss a ball up and you lower your hand to catch it type thing. Does like that with them.
Or maybe it was
I'm gonna
dragon
guess
magic.
the dragon has gravity orbment and can just like adjust it as need be.
I mean, Cassius is standing on it and not holding on for dear life or anything. So maybe it's a little of both.
So, real quick, I missed this entire scene the first time, so I had to okay, they probably just like the Arcee showed up and saved him is probably fine or something. And when I the first time I read this on the wiki, I was like, that can't be real, can it?
Hard disagree.
Hard disagree. It is exactly what happened. We get the explanation of how Cassius is riding a dragon. It's interesting because, well, the important thing is Ragnar's like, yeah, now that the ring's gone, I don't have to keep that promise anymore, so I can do whatever I want.
So we're so Cassius, since you're one of the like top 3 people in the government, like what's going on? And he's like, don't worry, that's fine. I got you. Just you saved the day.
And Cassius
you take the credit.
Cassius is like, getting the dragon, losers. We're going. And the closing credits are Estelle and Joshua holding hands with Ragnar catching up to the 2 airships, and the credits roll. What a game.
After the credits.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get the after credit scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was expecting the after credits scene to be a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because it's this game.
Yeah.
I also wasn't expecting such a quiet scene. Because it's a JRPG. It's like with a sequel that we know about. But it's Estelle and Joshua standing in front of Karen's grave. Just a quick refresher, Karen is his sister.
Not his girlfriend's sister, his real sister.
Yeah.
His not his girlfriend's sister, the real one. Estelle lays some flowers on the grave. And Joshua lays his sword, or his little...
That we've established is a very powerful magical artifact, and maybe Joshua should not do the symbolic gesture of leaving it unguarded on someone's grave, and maybe he should hold on to it, but whatever. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't make a whole Star Ocean game about leaving dangerous relics just laying around. It's fine.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did, but no one played it because it was Star Ocean, and that's how we're making this mistake again.
People should just play Star Ocean. That would be fine.
If only we'd played Star Ocean.
If only more people played Star Ocean. They pay their respects, and they move in to discuss their futures. Right off the bat, they're gonna try and track down Ren, and then keep digging into Ouroboros, and like a Wilford Brimley class diabetes inducing like last scene, but I love it. Feed it to me with a shovel. Because they're like, we don't know what the future is going to look like, but we're going to be there together. Wow.
Scene. The end.
Scene. Whew.
We did it. So yeah, let's listen to this final credits track so that we can then talk about our memorable moments and this game as a whole. And this first ending of this series as a whole. I mean, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, but it also kind of was an ending.
It's
my understanding is that
much
the third is an epilogue sort of thing. It's like sort of its own thing.
It's very much an anime ending in that they're like, well, we're going to leave it open, so if we want to make an OVA later, we can. Or like a movie. But like, if this is all we get, no one's going to be unhappy with it either.
So yeah, memorable moments. What do you guys got?
I like this game. It's real good.
It's real darn good.
It makes me sad that not.
Him on a dragon.
It makes me sad that people don't know about Trails as much as I know about like Final Fantasy. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love it. But this is real cool. This should be the most popular JRPG.
It really should. And like Dragon Quest is for me I like to play RPG, and Final Fantasy is I like to do cool things in the concept of an RPG, and Trails is I like to read RPG, and they do vastly different things, and they do them all freakishly well. And this game is just cream of the crop, like phenomenally good.
Yeah, I want the world for Falcom.
Yeah, I hope that everyone plays the new games that are coming out because they look great, and I hope, and because like we were mentioning this before in the Discord, that you kind of have to play these first games on Steam because the PSP shop has been shut down, and who the fuck is going to buy it who is going to get a PSN gift card to add it to their account, to go on their PS3, to buy a PSP game, to transfer it from their PS3 to their PSP, because that's the only way you can buy second chapter and the third on PSP. No one's going to do that. So you basically have to play it on Steam, and it's not super easy for a lot of people to sit at their computer and play long form RPGs like this. So I'm hoping that, because Falcom is aware of that issue, and they have said that they're aware that that's an issue and they want to fix that. So I'm hoping there's some sort of like collection or cheapish re-releases on Switch or PS5 or something like that soon, and everybody buys it and everybody loves it, and it becomes the next huge big thing, because I want Trails to be around forever. because they're really good. And I have played 2 of the available 12 games.
Yeah, and the fact that they're doing these big connected stories within a persistent world is on this level is not something that I can't think of anything else doing, anyone else doing this kind of thing in this level in games.
Even not in games, like this feels bigger than the MCU because each game is gigantic. It's like each game is a phase of the MCU level of interconnectedness, and then there's 12 of them. So it's like it's huge and delicious, and I love it.
Also, these games are much better than the MCU is on average.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I mean, I love a handful of MCU movies, but on average, these games are a lot better than those.
Like the clock tower scene in the first game is, by itself, is better than most of the MCU. So. And not just wait for Crossbell, because I don't want to not be playing more Trails games. They're freaking good. So we'll see what happens when we get through with the third. Yeah. Any specific memorable moments?
There's lots of good sprite animations in the finale. Luciola, is that her name?
Yeah.
Cutting the whip was a really good animation. The anime sword fight was real good animations.
Yeah. Similarly, all of the evolution CGs this chapter are real good. I'm guessing there's probably some, if I brought the right people. I didn't bring the right people, so I'm not certain, but I'm sending a few that I did get in the chat right now, and they're just real good. Yeah. I forgot to get a screenshot.
Why is Joshua's hair blue?
It's anime blue. It's blue in y'all's game too, just not as purpley blue as it is here.
This whole thing is having black hair.
Yeah, but it's anime black hair, so it's it's navy.
You gotta have blue hair.
Yeah, because you gotta have something that's not all the way black so that you can shade it, and blue is a nicer.
I want gray. Joshua to have Vanta black hair.
Well, on the Vita with my OLED screen, I could do it. But yeah, they're all really good. There was another one of it's a reprise of the Kiss CG, but this time it doesn't lead to heartbreak after, which I thought was really nice. Oh yeah, Jimmy just put another one that I missed, but it's the hug between Estelle and Ren, and it's super good. Like
also said that the English script for second chapter is twice as many words as the Lord of the Rings.
That's nuts.
That's a lot of words.
That is a lot of words. Holy crap.
That's a whole lot of words.
These games have too many words. I can't read them all.
Yeah. I feel real bad that I didn't go and talk to every NPC. But I like these games enough, and they're delicious enough that I absolutely mean it when I say I want to go back and do a play one game a year, glorious wading through all of these games and just talking to every NPC, doing every side quest, doing all of the things. The podcast doesn't let me do that, but I definitely want to do that because that's what these games want. It's for you to just hang out in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really good.
I did have a few chapters where I was able to just hang out, and it was good.
Highly recommend hanging out with these characters. What about you, Matt? Do you have any other particulars or anything you wanted to say about this game?
Yes. The vast majority of it is conversations I've consistently been told not to try and have on this podcast, which is fair. I'm bad about it. But as for this game in particular, the best and I guess worst thing I can say is it did take me, I mean, it took me a while to like click into gear with this one.
Yeah.
That being said, I absolutely adored it by the end.
Yeah, it's a super weird vibe because the first like 4 chapters don't feel like new game. They feel like victory lap of the first game, but by the time that they're over, you're definitely in the second game. And so it's a very weird feeling as you get through the first 2-3 chapters, but then you buckle in and the whole thing just gets real fucking good.
Yes, I think the first game is better than the first half of the second game by a bit, but then the second half of the second game is real big and real crazy and real great.
Yeah. It's like forcing myself to finish it. I see why I bounced off the beginning of this game in my casual playthrough and never came back around to it. But I'm glad that I made a podcast to force me to play through it because the last half is fucking phenomenal. And now if Sky the Third has like 7 chapters of just Kevin trying out coffee shops, I'll push through it because I know at the 8th coffee shop the world's going to fucking explode and it's going to be amazing. So definitely ready for that.
Lord.
Wow. So Jimmy just put in the list of script sizes for all of the games, and this game has 1,344,000 Japanese characters in its script, and Trails of Cold Steel 4 has double that. So that's a big ass game. That's fucking huge, and I'm excited to not read most of those and push my way through it. Like, for instance, this game had not 1 but 2 novels to collect the whole time through, and we didn't talk about any of them. I never even found any of them. I was looking at the beginning of the game and I missed all of them.
If I wanted to read a book, I'd read a book.
Yeah. The plan was to do a episode at the end where we talked about the books and the side quests, but like, I don't want to do that. I want to play Kevin's game. So we're not going to do that. We're going to play Kevin's game. Go and look up the novels. I'm sure they're great, but we're diving straight into Kevin in 2 weeks. So that's what we're doing.
The third game should be called The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky Kevin Game.
Kevin game.
The third game should be called Trails of the Kevin.
Kevin no Kiseki. But yeah, this game's great, and I fucking love it, and I can't wait to play the third game. And it seems like it seems like it's a small boy based on this list of script links that Jimmy just gave in chat. So hopefully it'll be nice and breezy for us to get through, and then we can decide what to do from there. But I'm excited for it, and this game's just really fucking good, and the Trails games are awesome, and I'm excited that I get to play through them with two of my greatest friends. Anything else that we need to talk about before we shut up and play the Kevin game?
I'm gonna build some obligatory hype. Because like the were I to rank games, because that's how my brain works. This game is still my 5th favorite Trails game.
Jesus Christ.
Were I to
for that.
Now, were I to split that, the first half of this game would be my least favorite Trails game.
Mm-hmm.
But the second half is still only my 3rd favorite Trails game.
And that's pretty hype. I really want to see the rest of it, because like the Trails fandom, most of them are Trails of like Cold Steel fans, at least like on Twitter that I see Crossbell stuff bleed through, and I'm sure that there's like discords and stuff like that where the actual favorite will be Azure or whatever. But like I see so many people talking about characters I have no idea anything about how much they love them, and they will protect them with all of their heart. And I'm very excited to meet all of these people and also care about them with all of my heart. I want to play them all.
This is not a conversation for a podcast, but I have an idea potentially.
Okay.
For intervening time, but that can be later.
Yeah. Anything else to say before we wrap it up? I think we're good.
I love Agate. He's the protagonist. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I love all of these characters. Estelle is the best JRPG protagonist. Since we are done with her 2 games, I can fully say that she's the best, and I will miss having her in every single scene for the rest of the series. I'm sure everyone else is good, but I will miss Estelle greatly. But yeah, shout outs to everyone who supports us on Ko-Fi, because you're hearing this a month before everybody else does. And thank you all for supporting us, and keep doing that, and we'll keep making these. And stay tuned to see if we decide to take a break or not, because who knows. For Book Club no Kiseki, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
Adios, amigos.